Hello, my name is Alan Foom, and I'm now going to talk about the recent woes in the UK gas market. Obviously, this is a major concern for UK citizens, with it now being headline news, and now people are worried. Now, what's happened? Well, basically, gas prices have skyrocketed. So this is the gas price in pence per therm for the national balancing point, and you can see it sort of varies between, 70 and 80 pence per therm, slightly higher in the winter, builds up again, relative lows in the summer. It's been decline from 1920 and then up again in late 20 to 21, and then whoosh, skyrocketed in September. And September is not a natural month for this sort of thing because most gas spike demands tend to be in the winter during cold periods. It's not that cold at the moment, it's 21 degrees outside, and it's perfectly still as well, which is one of the reasons. So this situation has caused significant challenges in the UK. People are worried about being able to pay their gas bills, energy prices going up, both for gas and electricity, and concerns for the coming winter. Will the lights stay on? Will we get turkeys for Christmas, etc.? It's now on the news, being a big event. So I'll try to explain what I think is going on, and we'll see where we are. Now, it's not just a UK problem, it's a European problem and a world problem. So I'll talk a little bit about European gas storage and what effect has happened there. So this is a graph which I've taken from the What Logic blog by Catherine Porter. And this shows the gas storage at the end of September. Traditionally, gas storage tends to deplete in the winter, tends to get filled up again over the summer, so we have extra supplies to deal with the winter, any spikes, which are above what can immediately be produced. So what's been causing that? Well, high demand at the end of last winter, which was unusually a little bit on the cold side, and a heat wave in southern Europe demanding extra air conditioning, extra electricity generation, and low wind speed, leading to more demand for gas-fired electricity in countries in Northern Europe, such as Germany and the UK, which are heavily dependent on wind. The UK has even had to restart coal plants, something which is they're meant to phase out. And there have been slight worldwide shortages of gas, extra demand in China, extra demand in India, extra demand in Brazil due to the drought affecting the hydro facilities, and problems with supply. There was a big fire at the Urengoy gas processing plant, one of the key gas processing plants in Gazprom's Siberian infrastructure, in August. That's being repaired. That's led to a little bit of a shortfall in production. Other people have been suggesting that there's some sort of machinations within the Russian government to do with Nord Stream 2. I don't personally buy that, but other people do say that. And there have been extra maintenance on fields in Norway. So overall, a slight shortage of supply, increase in demand, prices go up. Economics 101. Now a little bit about storage in the UK. Now, the UK has traditionally had relatively low amounts of storage. We didn't need them. We had gas fields in the North Sea able to cope with demand fairly instantly. And traditionally would have kept less than a month's worth of storage. That, however, has decreased recently with the decommissioning of the Rough gas field storage facility, which is indicated by this black star here. It was right here off the coast of Yorkshire. This had a capacity of 3.3 BCM. And you also had some salt caverns within Yorkshire, which had capacity 1.7 BCM. So the current capacity we have now is 12 to 14 days. So if all the pipelines go down, that's what we got. But it's mainly used to meet peak demand should we had spikes in demand. There's been talk about putting a new storage facility in, but that never got off the ground due to various factors. We also have LNG import terminals, you can see by the maps here. So there's two in Milford Haven, South Hook and Dragon. There's also the Isle of Grain and Canvey Island and the Thames Estuary. So that's where gas from LNG comes from. And these are the terminal locations of the interconnectors. So Langeled coming from Norway, and pipelines from Belgium and from the Netherlands, linking into the European gas network. Now, the UK has traditionally been self-sufficient in gas. Up until 2003, we were actually a small gas exporter. I started working in the oil and gas industry in 1990 when gas was first really kicking off in the UKCS. We had the new fields being commissioned, etc., under the old British gas monopoly. And we had a situation where we had production significantly exceeding the demand and a little bit of exports. However, production has since declined as old fields get depleted, but demand hasn't. So we have production in blue, demand in orange, and then in yellow we have net exports, and we have become now a significant gas importer, which is a big change in psychology for the UK.
So where does UK gas come from? Again, this is a graphic from Dukes, which I've taken from Catherine's blog, What Logic, and this shows that 48% of UK gas supply is domestic production, 22% is pipeline imports, a vast majority of that is from Norway, and 22% from LNG. Now, most of the production from the UK tends to be under longer term contracts. The Norwegian pipeline supplies are also mostly long-term contracts, but the LNG is either short-term contracts or spot contracts, i.e. you pay by the cargo. If there is a massive shortage of gas cargoes in the market, you have to bid up on an auction and the highest bidder wins. Therefore, gas prices spark. And LNG in the UK mostly comes from Qatar, USA, Russia, which is actually a significant LNG exporter now. Trinidad and Tobago, I worked on one of those projects a wee time ago, and then others that come in from various sources, Nigeria, Algeria, etc. So that's the UK gas import picture. So 22% comes from LNG, short-term contracts. We have to bid up to get a cargo, particularly in a tight market, which is what it is now. Now, different types of gas contract exist. Now, traditionally, you've had long-term contracts, 20 years plus. They've been indexed to the oil price, substituting for oil or coal. So that gave surety both to the gas producer to develop the gas field and to the gas consumer, because they had a guarantee that they're going to have that supply. Gas used to be local. Everything was linked by pipeline. You had isolated markets, except for East Asia, which had LNG coming in from Indonesia and Malaysia and countries like that, going to Japan and Korea. You had dedicated contracts, so you had one buyer, one producer, they'd negotiate something, job done. But since 2000, we've been moving to global gas. The LNG revolution has meant that gas can be shipped pretty much all around the world. And we're moving to traded hubs, so Henry Hub, National Balancing Point, Japan-Korea tariff, TFF in the Netherlands. So there's also moves to shorter-term contracts to spot cargoes. And all that has meant is that you have more volatility in the situation. This is a little bit about natural gas hubs. So JKM is Korea, so that's the East Asian market. Henry Hub is located in Louisiana, so that's the main US market. TFF is the European market, located in the Netherlands, and NBP is the National Balancing Point in the UK. So all of these are different hubs, so that's location where they are. Some of the other ones, Canadian, Russian, etc. hubs, German hubs. So all of these trade in gas, and you can see that the price difference between the two of them. So if you ship gas from Henry Hub to Europe, providing you the cost of your shipping is taken into account, is covered by the sales, you can make a bit of money. So it's competition for LNG. These are the main exporting countries, Qatar and Australia, the two main ones. They've been relatively traditional suppliers, although Australia has expanded lately. But you had some new entrants. You had the USA, used to be a gas importer, taking gas from Canada and some LNG as well, totally switched that around with the fracking revolution. USA is now a significant exporter of natural gas by LNG, and LNG terminals being built or proposed all over the US seaboards. Quite how many of them will actually turn up is another question, but that's another subject. So there's been a recent rise in demand, and that's beginning to outstrip supply. Particularly for the last 5 years, there's been relatively little investment. So LNG terminals, very expensive, take years to build, and they need the gas to backfill them. No gas, no LNG, hence the woes in Egypt at the moment. Now, the future looks a little bit brighter, at least the short-term future does, because the forward curves show a decline towards something like normality in the latter part of 2022. Obviously, a bit of a challenge in the winter, but what happens next? So we could have future headwinds, we could have future bright spots, but the future curves look a bit better. Looking longer term, and this is a picture from Michelle's LNG review, we have an emerging supply-demand gap. So this is LNG supply, current supply in red, supply under construction in yellow, and this black line is potential ranges in demand. So big gaps coming up in the 2030s, 2040s, unless that's met. Now, that probably will be met. You've got gas discoveries in Mozambique, gas discoveries in Tanzania, potential gas discoveries in Guyana, potential gas supplies in Australia and other places that could potentially meet this. but it'll take time, and more importantly, it'll take investment. Will the investment be there? Will people be willing and able to invest to meet that? And demand drivers, both in terms of gas supply, in terms of meeting electricity generation, and in general terms of economic growth, and also giving you security. Coming back to the UK, we've got a longer term challenge. So this is some forecasts from the Oil and Gas Authority. So the blue line is UK gas production, and this is their forecast. So the fields are depleting. We're going to reduce in terms of UK gas without new investment. And new investments under a challenging situation. There's a keep it in the ground movement, ESG, and all of these things which might stop future investment in gas production in the UK. Demand fall is not so fast. So this is the gap. Gaps met by imports. Two forecasts. This forecast here is from BASE, the Business Energy Industrial Strategy Department of the UK government. And this is from the Climate Change Committee, a part of UK Parliament, which produces forecasts for what we might need to do to get to net zero. So that's their net zero pathway. But you can still see, even under the CCC forecast, still got a gap. How do we meet the gap? We need more gas storage because interruptions will come. What happens if the LNG isn't there? So finally, talk a little bit about the Energy Trilemma. In this bit here, reliability security is now coming home to roost. Previously, we were in la la land, farting unicorns. Life isn't quite like that. People are now beginning to understand that because we've taken reliability, we've taken security for granted. Can't anymore. We should never done in the first place. So I've got a video on the Energy Trilemma. Please check that out. If you like this video, please put a like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.